Hello again and welcome to Sudson Country Video. Hi, I'm Herb Sudson. On this show, I'm very proud to say Kathy Mattea is my special guest. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we get into the interview, I want to say to the camera and everybody that's watching the show, I just saw Kathy in concert. If Kathy Mattea comes your way, definitely go see it. Phenomenal show with a phenomenal lady.
Thank you.
You did a terrific show.
Thanks. It was really fun. The audience was great. That made a big difference.
They just howled, didn't they? They
yeah,
were just
it was really
great.
Fun.
Hey, you know, 1988 was the year that you arrived. You went from being consistently in the top 5 and 10 country charts to the top spots, 1 and 2 spots, top singles you had that year. You know what they were?
My singles in 1988?
Yeah.
That was the year I had 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses.
Yes.
That was my biggest one, and I think the one before 18 Wheels was Untold Stories. And after 18 Wheels was Life as We Knew It.
Where did Going Gone come in?
Going Gone was before Untold Stories.
Was it? Okay. I was reading the bios and I figured out Going Gone and 18 Wheels was the two that I was looking for. But
yeah.
Maybe, okay. They were your two top #1 songs.
Yeah, they were both went #1.
How did it feel to have a #1 song?
It was great. At that time, you know, the system changes from year to year, and at that time, they were measuring it on 2 or 3 different charts, so I'd get a call one week, it's #1 on this chart, and it'd be, oh, it's not #1 on this chart yet, and then it was kind of a funny process of the song going #1 for the first time. It was real neat. It's the kind of thing you always wait for. You know?
I bet it is. For every singer to have a #1 song must be a phenomenal feeling. After years of being nominated but passed over, you earned a first CMA award for Single of the Year in 1988. 18 Wheels was the one? What happened in 1989?
Well, I made more records,
Wind.
yes. I put out Willow in the Wind.
That came your way. That's been your best album so far?
That one has sold more than any album I've had out so far.
What's different about the album?
If I knew, I'd be a rich person. I don't know. I think it's just, for me, it's been sort of a growing process, you know, and I've been working real steady ever since I started making records, so I think that you mature as an artist from year to year, and over the time, you know, more and more people hear about you, and for me it's just sort of been a progressive thing. I don't know if the album is so much different, it's just more time passed.
The songs on it aren't any different or any better?
I just tried I didn't try to do anything different, I just tried to find the best songs I could, which is the process I go through every time.
How many #1s off the LP so far?
Let's see, Come From the Heart went #1. Where Have You Been, interestingly enough, did not go #1. Burning Old Memories went #1, and the song that's out right now, She Came From Fort Worth, is moving up, so time will tell.
What kind of music is on Willow? What kind of...
Country music, are you kidding?
Whoa, that's earth-shaking. No, I thought it was sort of different varieties of different types of country music. Was there?
Yeah, there's some bluegrass feeling stuff. There's a swing song.
Right.
Where Have You Been is a very different piece.
Yes.
There's a cowboy song, and really for me, I just try to find the common thread that I always try to have is the strength of the songs, and really, as long as the songs are good, you can do a lot of different kinds of things.
Where Have You Been? Tell the story about that. I heard you do it during the show here, and just briefly tell us a little story behind it.
That song was written by my husband and a friend of his, and it's a true story about my husband's grandparents. And his grandmother had fallen and broken her hip and gone into the hospital, and not too long after that, his grandfather got diagnosed with a brain tumor.
That's right.
And went into the same hospital in a different section, and they didn't know each other were there. And his grandmother started to sort of get senile, and sort of, because she was in a foreign place, started to lose her grasp of reality and forgot people's names, forgot who they were, and finally she just didn't talk at all for a while. And John went to visit them and took him to see her, and that was the way it went down.
Isn't that something? 1990. How many awards have you won this year?
I don't know. You count my awards more than I do.
You're cleaning up on them. You're doing great.
It's a good time.
You earned every award from what I've seen tonight. You've earned them all.
Well, thank you.
Willow was your 5th album. Kathy Mattea was 1, first album. From the Heart was 2. Walked Away the Wind Blows is 3. Untasted Honey, and Willow, the last one. How have you changed since 1984? Have you changed any since 1984?
Yeah.
First album?
When I first got signed to a record deal, I'd been singing demo tapes for songwriters.
Yes, ma'am.
The songwriter wants to pitch a song to an artist. Sometimes they're not the best singers, so they hire a singer to come in and sing it. So that's what I sort of made my living doing for years. And I was the person you would hire if you had 5 different kinds of songs that you wanted to have demoed. My big thing was that I could sing a wide variety of styles. And so they gave me this record deal and they said, okay, now we want to hear you do what you do. And it was kind of like, well, I don't know, you know, I've been sort of diversifying. So it's been over time that I've sort of honed it down and figured out what lasts well to me, which kinds of songs are still fun to sing after years of singing them.
How did you come about singing country music when you sang so many varieties? Why did you choose country out of all the varieties that you've demoed?
Well, I was in Nashville for one thing, and that's the industry that's there. I had moved to Nashville years before because I'd been playing bluegrass and country in college and started writing it. Everything that I wrote was coming out real country. So it was the logical place to go. And for me, I felt like pop music is way too trendy, and country music seems to be a place where everything that I wanted to do, I could do. And it was just where I felt like I belonged.
You're a songwriter?
I moved to Nashville to write songs, but I got up to a point where I felt like my writing needed a year or two of really hard, concentrated work, and that my singing needed a year or two of hard work. And I felt like if I tried to do both, then I would wind up doing neither one 100%. And I'd gotten a lot more response to my singing than my writing, so I decided to put writing sort of aside for a while.
A lot of people say they go to Nashville, and there's so many singers there that they need songwriters. That's what I've heard a lot of.
There are a lot of singers in Nashville, and there are a lot of songwriters in Nashville.
Are there?
Yeah, there's a lot of both, really. I mean, you know, you have to just go. That's why you can't. It's really hard, but you can't really look at everybody else. You have to try to figure out what you do best.
Leaving West Virginia, is the song that you wrote that you have on your album?
Yeah, that song's on my album called Walk the Way the Wind Blows, and I wrote that song when I decided to move to Nashville. And I had stayed up till about 2 o'clock in the morning trying to write a song, and nothing would come to me. And I finally gave up, and I just went to sleep. And as I was drifting off to sleep, the whole first verse and chorus went through my head. So I got up and I wrote it all down, and I wrote down the chords, and I left the guitar by the bed, you know, in case lightning struck again. And I'd get up every once in a while and go over it to make sure I knew it. And it took me about 1.5 years to finish it.
No kidding, 1.5 years, and that was actually a personal experience?
Yeah, at the time, there was a brief time where some of us in the band were talking about moving to California, and it just seemed to flow easier than Nashville in the writing.
When you look for songs in an album, what kind of songs do you look for?
I look for songs that I can't wait to hear again, or songs that make me feel some kind of emotion real strongly, whether it's happy or sad or poignant.
Some of your songs have gone crossover?
My very first record and my second record crossed over in 1984, a long time ago. And then nothing for a long time. And Where Have You Been crossed over. And it wasn't anything that we were trying to do. It just, what happened was I did it in New York City. I did it last year at the Ritz. And a lot of people from our record label were there and got excited about it and said, please, you know, we'd like to mail this to the adult contemporary stations. We think they'd like it. And they did, and we're just enthusiastic about it.
Of course, this is beneficial for Kathy Mattea, right?
Well, it's nice for me if I can, I mean, if I can find as many people as possible who like what I do.
Is it zooming on the charts, on the pop charts?
It went to the top 15 on the adult contemporary charts, which is really good for somebody who doesn't have a base.
You didn't figure on that when you recorded the song, though?
When I recorded the song, I didn't even think it would be a single.
No kidding.
I thought it would be an interesting piece of material at the end of the album that might be a nice surprise for people, and the thing just had a life of its own.
18 Wheels, that was 2 consecutive weeks on the charts, wasn't it, as number
At number one, yes.
I read on a paper bio that it was sent to me that that hasn't happened since Dolly in 1979.
They said that it hasn't happened to a female.
Female, that's what I meant to say.
If you distill the statistics down small enough, you can come up with something that sounds impressive.
I had female singers since Dolly in 1979 was the last time it happened to her. Yeah, that's not bad. Hey, I've also read that you are described now as a well-established singer of power and range, one whose uncommon quality and artistic vision of herself have to provide a pleasing surprise. Is that true?
I don't know. It sounds great on paper, though, doesn't it?
I was going to ask you to explain that statement.
Don't ask me.
Okay.
Please don't ask me. They hired someone to write that down so that you'd want to interview me.
And ask you that
and
question.
Here I am.
That's it. Sounded good to me. That's why I thought I'd have you explain it. You sing with emotion in all your songs?
I try to.
Yeah.
I think, for me, the secret is to be present, you know, in the lyrics, to really be saying them. And what I used to do, and I still do occasionally, is sit down with the lyrics and think, how would I say these if I were just going to say them to someone? And then that really, I think that makes it more effective when you sing it.
You've been described as a new generation country singer, new traditionalist. I've read that in several
Yeah,
places.
some people say she's one of the new guys. Some people say she's one of the traditional guys.
Okay.
Some people say she's one of the folkies. Some people say I'm a bluegrasser. Hey, you know, I've been called everything.
And you live up to it all, huh?
Well,
you agree with him?
I don't know. It's really hard for me to be objective about anything like that. I just kind of do what I do, and if people, I mean, if that's the way someone describes me, and that helps someone else to grasp, to get a concept of what I am, then that's okay.
Describe the Kathy Mattea style or sound.
It's hard. It's hard to talk about music. I mean, if you haven't heard it, it's a difficult thing to talk about. There are elements of traditionalism. There's elements of progressive sound. It's mostly acoustic based, and I try to make it as varied and interesting as I can. I went to see a band one time, and I remember being completely just mesmerized by the whole show. And the thing that really struck me was that I loved every song, but no song was the same as any other. And that's, I think, what I've been trying to do.
Diverse. What's ahead for Kathy and a new album coming up? You have an album and you're probably thinking about already. Yeah,
I have a greatest hits album coming out in July.
Excellent.
And on that is going to be a duet with Tim O'Brien. Tim wrote Walk the Way the Wind Blows and Untold Stories for me. And we did this duet a long time ago, and we pulled it out to be the next single. I'm really excited because Tim just got a record deal on RCA. Some people may know Tim from Hot Rise, which is a really hard-working bluegrass band. He was the lead singer for Hot Rise.
I play their music on the radio.
Great.
Yeah,
great.
Hot Rise. I think they have, what, 2 or 3 albums out of it?
Oh, yeah, they've got actually a lot.
A lot of albums. I've put 2 or 3.
And they've been together for 10 years, and now Tim's going to break off and go out on his own.
That is nice. I play their music. Awards, other than the CMAs and ACMs, have you had any unusual awards? Unusual ones.
I won an elephant riding contest one time. I won the race. And a woman in Scotland gave me what she calls the Golden Welly Award, which is, it's a picture of wellies in England and Britain are wading boots that you wade in the water. And so she gives out the Golden Welly, and it was for doing good folk style acoustic music.
What's the most important achievement so far to date that you've accomplished?
Oh, it's been an amazing year. It's really hard to pinpoint one. Winning female vocalist is something that you really dream of. I mean, I can remember watching that at home and kind of tearing up sometimes because I could relate to people so much. But I have to say that the award itself is not the point. And all the other stuff that got me to that is the part that's really sweet.
As you win more awards, you're out on the road more?
I try not to be. I do about 90 to 100 dates a year, which is more than some people and less than most. And if I do any more than that, I find that I just get nuts. I mean, if I don't see my house every once in a while and look at my husband in the face, then, you know, I just start to lose all sense of being grounded. And so I don't think I'll ever really work much more than that.
Have you played outside the continental United States yet?
Yeah. In 1988, we went to Europe, and the first place we played when we got off the plane was Czechoslovakia.
Whoa. How did they like Kathy Mattea?
It was neat. They love country music over there. And it was a big European festival, and there were country music bands from all over Europe and some others from the United States too. It was us and the Bellamy Brothers and Asleep at the Wheel that played
You
this.
were good company.
Yeah, it was really fun. And we were there in Wenceslas Square where all the hoopla is taking place now, and it was just
wow,
amazing.
must be a phenomenal feeling. How long were you over in Europe?
We were there for 3.5 weeks.
Wow, where did you play?
We played Czechoslovakia, Germany, Switzerland, England, and Ireland.
They all love American country music?
Yeah.
Good, good. Hey, yeah, I was also reading that what was the deal with the tourism of West Virginia?
Well, I'm from West Virginia, and they're having a lot of really hard times right now. Coal production is down, and the other real basis for the economy there were chemical plants. There were a lot of chemical plants there, but they were all built just after World War II, and so they're all kind of going out of date. So the economy is just really in a slump, and they were trying to, and still are, promote the natural beauty of the state to as an alternative place for people to go when they want to get out in the country. And so they asked me if I would sort of be the spokesperson and do this jingle, and it led into some video spots and
wow.
Sort of me being the ambassador for West Virginia around the country. And it's really great because I've done all the stuff I was telling people to come and do. You know, I've been horseback riding and mountain climbing and whitewater rafting and the whole bit. And
you lived it all.
Yeah, and I love the place.
Speak from experience?
Yes.
TV appearances. You've been on quite a few TV shows.
It's been amazing when you put them all in one list and look at it. It's hard to believe, but yeah, it's been.
You've even done Hollywood Squares.
We did Hollywood Squares. What a hoot! That was really funny. Yes, I was what's known in the business as Square number 2. I was right above Joan Rivers in the middle on the top.
Oh, that must have been
And if you lean back too far, you will fall off the back of the set. The set is that high, and you have to be real careful or you'll just go right over the railing. There's not much there to hold you on.
How about Rain Man, the movie?
That one was really amazing. What he's speaking of is during Rain Man they mentioned 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses in one of the scenes. And the first person in our band to see it was Christy, who sings backup with me. And she went to the theater, and when he said 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses, she just screamed. And she said everyone in the whole place turned around and looked at her, and she just sank down to the floor.
I read about that. What kind of jobs have you had before while you were working your way up, other than demo singing?
Well, I moved to Nashville, and first thing I got a job as a tour guide at the Country Music Hall of Fame.
I read that.
And that was a great educational experience for me, and a really good way to get acclimated to Nashville, and learned a lot about some of the history of country music that had gone before I started listening to it. I've discovered Bob Wills and the Playboys. They had an old film there that you could go see like every 20 minutes or something, and I used to go on my lunch hour and just run it over and over, the Texas Playboys. And anyway, then I started to lose my voice, so I knew I had to get out of there from talking all day over top of all this noise. So I got a job as a secretary, and I did that for about a year, and then I had been studying voice lessons and put together a tape, and I wanted to try to get into session work, recording session work, and so I got a job as a waitress so that I could be free to work day or night and be off whenever people needed me.
It's true. It's true. So, what do you do to relax?
John and I are real into snow skiing, and we try to do that in the winter 2 or 3 times.
I saw a picture of you with the goggles on with one of the magazines I was reading. You and John.
It's really fun.
Aspen?
In Aspen, yes, we won a celebrity ski tournament.
That's
John and I won. We first and second. We were in the last heat, racing against each other for first and second place, and I was winning, and I wiped out. We had big handicaps. We aren't that good, but
did you wipe out, huh?
Yeah, on the last gate. I was going, and every other time I'd been thinking, God, just get me to the bottom of the hill, and this time I could see the big trophy, and I got greedy.
That was it.
He reached down and thwacked me on the head.
What's ahead for Kathy Mattea?
Well, I'm in the middle of a new album, and I've got to make a video real soon for this duet with Tim O'Brien. We're going to go to California and do that. Then in June I'm going to go to Scotland for 2 weeks to visit some friends who are musicians.
You're not going to entertain there? You're not taking the band over to vacation?
It's just vacation and pursuing some musical curiosity I have about traditional Scottish music. And then working through the summer on the road.
Thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to see you in concert. It's a pleasure to have you on Southern Country, and continued success.
Thank you. Thanks.
You earned every award, I'll tell you. You should.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
That's about it. This is Herb Southern. Hope you enjoyed Kathy Mattea on the show. Until next time.